Hey, DJ Sugar Ray, welcome to Pop Rock Radio. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Very good. Yeah,
that's good. Hey, I've got a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
my note taking is not the best because there's just so much I've got to ask. If you can see, I've got a big grin on my face, is because we do a lot of interviews with musicians and singers and songwriters, but it's very, very rare that we get to do a chat or have a chat with another DJ, especially one that's been around for as long as what you have.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I've got a big grin on my face, if you can't tell. But yeah. So
I'm a bit old. I'm an old school DJ. I'm like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
They had lightsabers. I'm from that generation.
Yeah. Because you were DJing in the early 90s. That's when I started, in the early 90s as well. But I wasn't DJing in some of the biggest clubs and venues all around the world, like Berlin, Tokyo, London, huge crowds. How was that?
Yeah, it was lots of fun, actually, especially at, what was I, like 23, 24?
Yeah.
It was a pretty amazing time, and it was amazing. Obviously being part of, I actually started DJ. I've always had an interest in music, but I professionally started DJing in 1989.
Yeah.
So in Sydney. But yeah, like an amazing time. Just such an amazing, so amazing to be part of that scene.
Yeah.
It was just so fresh and new and original, and it was so revolutionary.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, and going around the world and experiencing other clubs and the culture and record shops and parties, and it really opened my mind up to a lot of stuff as well, which was awesome, which allowed me to come back and do some amazing parties in Australia as well.
Yeah.
And also open a record shop myself and do all that great stuff.
Yeah, because it's pretty hard trying to explain to other people who aren't DJs the feeling that you get when you're actually performing in front of a huge crowd, because some people go, oh, you're just a DJ, but you're not a musician, you're not this, you're not that, but you actually have to be a bit more than that, don't you?
Yeah, well, well, for a start, I only played vinyl.
Yep.
And there's an art to that, and you'd have to spend hours and hours practicing just like you would a musical instrument.
Yep.
You have to be able to read a crowd. And take people on a journey, and it's all improvised as well. You're doing it on the spot. So, yeah, for sure. And the other thing is, when you talk about, getting into that, I'm actually a mindfulness and mental fitness coach.
Yep.
And a big thing what I talk about is flow. And I realized, have you heard of the term flow?
Yeah.
So it's a famous, it was a term that was coined in the 70s by a guy, Hungarian-American psychologist called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And flow is an optimal state of mind when you're completely immersed in a task. You forget about the outside world, you lose track of all time, and you're completely focused and engaged in the moment, allowing you to feel and perform at your best.
Yep.
And I've recognized today through the work that I do that DJing is the ultimate flow.
Yeah.
Because you could be, really nervous. I'd have to tell you, right? You're really nervous, and then you get up, you put that first record on, and straight away you just go into flow. Everything else just disappears. It's just you, the two turntables, and the crowd, and it's like, and the science behind that is amazing. The dopamine, all the chemicals that we get from that. So it's really interesting to kind of reflect back on that. And I think for DJs, that's why, for people that haven't done it, and for DJs, that's why it's so addictive. It's like extreme sportists, extreme people that do extreme sports like snowboarders and stuff. They travel the world trying to get that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And I think for DJs, it's the same thing. Getting into that flow state is amazing feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. Like I said, it's hard to explain it to people. Like when I try and explain it to people, they just you don't get it. But I don't know about yourself, but I used to, before I went onto a show or do a gig, I used to get really bad stage fright, and literally almost, I'd be dry reaching into a bucket. I was so bad. But
right.
But like you said, soon as you hit that first, play, it's gone. It's
exactly. As soon as you get that first record out, it's amazing how just everything, that the anxiety and the stress just completely disappears. So it's, which goes to show, I guess it's all in the mind, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was talking to another friend of mine the other last week, and because he's a DJ as well, or used to be a DJ, and I just said to him, isn't it amazing how many DJs? This may not. I'm not saying you in particular, but how many DJs have anxiety and mental health issues? And he said, I don't think. He said, this is his exact words were, I don't think it's the DJing that gives you the mental health. I think it's the people who have the mental health get into DJing because that's where they fit best. And I thought, that's it's like, especially on the dance floor, right? They fit in with the freaks on the dance floor, so maybe. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to move this along. Early 90s, biggest stage around the world, DJing. You come to 2025, and now you're touring with Ministry of Sound Testaments.
Yeah. I worked with those guys last year, actually. So I come out of retirement if the party's right, like maybe once a year, once every 2 years. And I actually teamed up with Ministry last year, and we did Love and Sabotage in Sydney.
Yep.
So we've done a couple of those, which are great. But this year they invited me back. I did Testament a few years ago.
Yep.
And it was such a great gig. And they're they're so professional and such an awesome group of people, especially Mr. Trent. And so, they asked me to get on board, and wow, what an amazing venue. I mean, that's another thing, I guess. When I started putting on rave parties in Sydney, it was about, finding warehouses and disused film studios and these crazy venues, and just rolling in and sound system and lights and doing a party for one night and then walking out of the venue and it never ever being used again.
Yeah.
And when the illegal raves stopped and it all went into clubs, Sydney, didn't really have a lot of choice when it comes to venues. So it's really nice to come to a new venue for me anyway. So it's like the venue looks amazing.
Yep. Are you going to be just in the one location, or are you going to be doing the tour around Australia?
No, I'm just going to be doing Sydney.
Yep. Yeah. Because is it the 90s or the thousands?
I'm doing the 90s. That's my era.
Yeah, and it's the piano dance tracks, isn't it? With a lot of piano. Is that the ones you get into?
Yeah, well, when I first started, I was really into like the piano house stuff because everyone else was playing really hard music, and so I love dropping the pianos, and so a lot of the time at the big raves. And it also started with, because when I started playing when the scene first started in Sydney, it was very much English orientated. So a lot of, they'd band parties in England, and a lot of the British were traveling through Thailand and ending up in Sydney. And a lot of the parties it was predominantly an English crowd. Yeah. And they were really into the whole Balearic piano house kind of vibe. Yeah. And that's really the sort of the roots of the rave scene. So I love the piano house stuff. It was up, and also, everyone hands in the air, uplifting, amazing vibe. So yeah. Yeah.
What's one of the worst experiences you've had?
One of the worst experiences I've had. Yeah. I've had a few. Yeah. The worst I've ever had is when it was actually a gig when I was touring. I did my first tour of Germany. Yep. And I played in Berlin at the club called E-Works, which was amazing. This amazing old electricity station. That was amazing. But then I had to play at all these raves outside of Berlin in the suburbs. Yep. And at the time, they were all playing just really banging hard music. Yep. So I was booked to play at a gig in Austria, and the driver picked us up in Berlin and we drove to Austria, and then I didn't realise I needed my passport because I didn't realise Austria was a different country. So we had all this trouble of getting me through this customs and getting into Austria. So they got to the party. We're in the middle of some forest, don't know where it is in Austria, and there's about 5,000 people in this warehouse, and the DJ that's on before me is a guy called Hard Sequencer. Yep. I don't know if you've heard of him. No. He's quite famous back in the day for playing really hard music. And also, he used to take the plate off of a 1200 and turn it up. So he was like playing at 150, 160 beats per minute. And there's like 5,000 people going nuts. And I'm on after him. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And I just didn't have the music. I mean, I had a couple of tracks, 140 beats per minute. For those that don't know, that's really fast. Yeah. for me. And anyway, I started playing, and I was like really struggling with the dance floor. And then all of a sudden, these guys were like, these like big Austrian guys were at the front of the speakers, and they were like, harder, harder, harder. What the? I haven't got. And there's no security. There's no one around me. There's like 5,000 people, just me on the stage. And then this guy, he's like standing in front of me. He goes like this. And I'm like, what the hell? And then one of them gets up and he grabs the monitor and chucks it into the crowd, and it was all like, it was like really scary stuff. And so I said to the guy that put me, I was like, look, hey, I don't think that I'm going to be able to continue. I haven't got the music. They're not happy. The music's not hard enough. And so they actually took me off and took me back to the hotel. And I just remember closing the door and like sliding down the back of the door, just thinking that was like the worst night I've ever had in my life. So that's I haven't had too many, thank God, but that's one that really stands out for me.
At least you got out alive.
I got out alive, only just. So I was, it was a very scary night.
Yeah. So why come out of retirement? What drove you to come out and decide to get back on the decks?
Yeah, well, I hadn't played for ages, and a few years ago, I used to run a club night in Sydney called Tweaking.
Yep.
And a lot of people were asking me to come back and do a night, and so I did it and had a lot of fun. And so, I got the urge was there again. So I mean, I've still got all my vinyl. I only play vinyl. Still got my original 1200s that I bought in London in 1990, Tottenham Court Road, and my mixer. And it's just it's really nice to step back into that world and catch up with our voices and play that music. It means so much to me. And to play to that crowd again, it's really special.
What do you think about guys that are DJing with the MP3 controllers and the DJ controllers? Do you reckon they're really DJing, or they just twist the knobs to make themselves look good and just have it on auto mix?
Well, I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and like shoot those guys down. Yeah. And I guess, I mean, why would you spend months learning to beat mix vinyl? I guess if that's where technology is, and we're in a tech-driven world. Yeah. I get it, and then I mean, as long as the party's going off and people are having a great time on the dance floor, I can, I think it's. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's the way it's the way it is now, isn't it? Yeah. So but I just hope that if people, the older generation, I think they do appreciate to see a DJ turn up with a box of records, and actually, it's a lost art form. Picking out, a record and putting it on and mixing it and touching it, and it's a lost art form, and people, I think when we did Tweaking a couple of years ago, and the amount of kids that were just standing there just blown away watching someone pull out vinyl and mix vinyl together, that's really special. Yeah. When people really appreciate it. So. Yeah. Well, we've got to talk more about Ministry of Sound, otherwise I'll go off it as doing that's what you're here for. Because I can sit here talking forever about DJing. It's just great. So I never did vinyl. I did CDs, on the old Denon systems, and then stepped up from there. And now I've got one of them MP3 controllers that I use just to muck around with at home, and just go back and dream of what it used to be like. But what are the crowds like in front? Like, you're doing a Ministry of Sound. Obviously, they're a worldwide music label. Phenomenon, I don't know what you call them nowadays, but what's it like being up on stage with the Ministry of Sound guys behind you? Yeah, I mean, they're rock solid as a brand. I mean, they've been around, for a long time now, which is testament, excuse the pun, to them. And, they're super professional, and they throw really great parties, and they care about, doing great parties, and they really look after you. So, it's testament to them that they're still going, because they always produce great parties and have the highest caliber of DJs and artists. So. Have you ever thought about going on the road and coming over to WA, South Australia? It's been a long time. The last time I was over there, I think I was DJing think it was a Big Day Out. I toured with a Big Day Out. There used to be a festival called the Big Day Out.
Still is. I think.
Is it still going? So I was I was one of the first DJs in the Boiler Room to tour nationally, and I think that's the last time I've been over there.
Yeah.
Long time.
It's good. I'm hoping to go catch a show, and I think it's at the Court Hotel, the Court in Perth. But because I see all the Sydney shows are all sold out.
Yeah, they sold out very quickly. So, which it just goes to show you, doesn't it, that 12 o'clock finish as well. The demand's there. People want to go out and relive the magic of those original parties and DJs.
So why 12 o'clock finish? Is that just showing everyone's age, or is it just rules?
Yeah, I think it's showing everyone's age a little bit, but when I first started, when I was clubbing, clubs used to finish at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And then, it was great to finish on a high. And I think, look, everyone's a lot older, they've got families, they've got commitments, they don't bounce back like they used to. And, being up till 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, it's going to wipe you out for the rest of the week. And, there's a massive movement at the moment around, clubbing, just going out and and I think we need it. We need socializing, because we're lacking that. Especially, my son's 21, and he doesn't go out to clubs or bars, and that generation, they seem to spend a lot of time sitting at home on their computer and social media. So, for a lot of us, it's a social thing as well. We were so lucky to grow up with that, where we could go out and mix with people on the dance floor and just talk to people that we don't know and rub shoulders alongside a painter or a real estate agent or some drag queen or whatever, it's like, that was the beautiful thing about it. There was no one judged you. There was no judgment. It was just, you were just complete freedom. And that's something that, we kind of lack in the world today. And people, they crave it. So I think that's one of the reasons. Yeah,
I'd love for the scene to come back. But over here in WA, a lot of venues closed down. So there's not very many venues left. They're shutting up because of, they're saying insurance costs and everything else, and it's like, and the kids nowadays, like, we used to go out 2-for-1 drinks. You'd have a drink in each hand, you'd be partying on, and you'd get into like trouble, but you wouldn't be going out causing any vicious trouble. Nowadays you go out and people get knocked out, one punch rules, and the kids nowadays are going to miss out. But hey, what I've got my little pink cards here. These are a list of questions, and I normally get 10 random questions. It's called Get to Know. So this is Get to Know DJ Sugar Ray.
Okay.
And so, so I'm gonna cut the cards. I haven't even sorted them. I've been shaking them, shuffling them. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of that one. 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 10 questions. 10 questions straight out the deck. 10 questions that no other normal adult would ask another normal adult ever.
Okay, all right. Let's try and do this.
All right. Okay, they're pretty simple. Hey, who's your favourite actor or actress?
Favourite actor or actress? Favourite actor, I'd say, would be Michael Caine.
Yep.
English actor. I'm showing my age.
Yep. All-time favourite movie?
All-time favourite movie? Star Wars.
Yep. Well, I think it's
1977. I remember seeing that in the cinema in London.
Yeah.
And just being blown away by that movie.
Yep. HJs or Maccas?
HJs, because they do a veggie burger. And, so yeah, I think they do. They used to back in the day.
They still do them. Yep.
Okay. Right.
Hangover cure? Best hangover cure?
Jump in the ocean.
Yep.
Especially a nice cold ocean. It's the best.
Yep. Well, there you go. Look at this. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars, of course.
Yeah. I'll leave that one to last. What's your favourite colour?
Favourite colour is blue.
Yep.
There you go, look.
Yeah. Yep. What colour are you painting the house?
Yellow. I'm actually painting my front door, which I've been doing all week, and I had half an hour before. I've actually just finished a work session, and I had half an hour, so I quickly painted my front door yellow. Palm Springs vibe.
Yeah. What's your favourite subject when you're at school?
Sport.
Yep. A song that always makes you dance.
A song that always makes me dance would be. Something that always makes me dance. Bassheads. Is there anyone out there?
Yeah. This one is like probably leading into that last question. But what's your all-time favourite song?
In dance music, you mean?
Any genre, anything.
Oh, all-time favourite song. That's a really hard question, isn't it? God, there's so many. All-time favourite song, maybe. I'll pick something by John Lennon.
Yep.
Maybe Imagine.
Cool. Other than your genre of music, so other than dance music, what would be your next favourite genre of music?
Jazz, funk,
yep,
and classical.
Nice, yeah. That was pretty painless. We get a good mix, but I forgot to get them all ready last time before I was sitting there. I had a big grin on because I was like, getting to speak to another DJ. He's like, yeah, win. What would you say your biggest crowd is you've ever played to?
Biggest crowd I've ever played to is probably about 15,000 people. There was in Germany, they were doing these festivals long before everyone else, and there was a festival, I think it was called like Nature One. Yep. It had like 10 areas to it, and I got to play there. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing the amount of numbers that you can get. It's like I think the biggest I ever played to was just over 2,000, but 15,000 that would have been insane.
Yeah, it was pretty mad. The biggest party I've ever been to is probably that's in Berlin, Love Parade, where they had 1 million people. Yeah. Which was pretty amazing as well. Yeah. I didn't play at the Love Parade. I played at the after party afterwards. Yeah. But the actual event, there was 1 million people in the streets of Berlin, and crazy Germans. And,
they love their music. They love their music over there, don't they? It's like crazy.
Yeah. It's the home of techno, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, when you started, you did the DJing in the 90s. Then there's a gap. Like you said, you've come back into it the last few years. What have you been doing in between there and between the two DJs and sets?
Well, I hung up my headphones in 2004. I moved to Canada, come back to Australia, and then I moved to Melbourne. I set up a chain of sustainable seafood restaurants for 10 years. I sold that, and now I am a mental fitness and high performance mindfulness coach. My business is called The Good Place. Yep. And that's what I've been doing the last 5 years. So I got into meditation pretty much after I started DJing as a way to help me deal with the stress and anxiety of it all. And I've had a daily meditation practice ever since. And so, again, I'm following my passion, and it's interesting because I am still DJing in a way. So I did the realestate.com, they did a festival here called Tech Fest. They're trying to be Australia's biggest and best tech company, and they had a festival called Tech Fest, and so I was running a mindfulness session in there and guiding and using music to guide people through some. Everyone was laying down, and I was guiding them through a practice. Actually, it was a track by Marconi Union called Weightless, which is actually the most relaxing piece of music ever made. And so I'm still taking people on a journey with music. It's just it's a lot more relaxed, and no late nights, but it's still it's just as much. It's just as fun as when I was DJing. So I love doing it.
Yeah. I love what I do. Do you think you'll ever give it up for good?
DJing?
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, it depends. I mean, if it's got to be the right party, and it's got to be the right promoter, and and obviously the right time. So, but never say never. I mean, I didn't play for a long time, probably like 10 years, and then my best friend and DJ partner Phil Smart was slowly working on me, trying to convince me to come out of retirement, and I did, and I resisted for a long time, but I actually, I really love it and I really enjoy doing it, and it's a really special thing for me now to come out, and and I put a lot of effort into it. I spend a good few weeks, going through records and practicing and getting ready and to give the best I can, and I love it.
Yep.
Right? I don't see myself ever, as long as I've got turntables and vinyl, I'd say there's still a chance.
Yeah, cool. But last question, who was the original Sugar Ray?
He was Boxer.
Yep. Is that how you got your name?
Well, at the time, everyone, so like in 1989, like a lot of the DJs in the UK were coming up with names like, Fabio and Groove Rider, and I could see that it was a good. Plus, also the tax man doesn't know who you are. So, and I was playing jazz, funk, and stuff, and and black music, and Sugar Ray, and someone said, I don't know, someone mentioned it. I was like, that'd make a good DJ name. So I it stuck, and that was, so all my name's Shoogs. My friends call me Shoogs, and the ravers call me Shoogs. But it stuck. That was the name that stuck.
Oh, awesome. So thank you very much for joining us on Pop Rock Radio. I hope that the shows go really well and we get to see you spinning the decks for a few more years to come. And thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. And,
no worries.
Hopefully I'll make it over to your side of the world.
Oh, that'd be great.
Awesome.
Take care.
Thanks, man.